on today's show, and it's talking about Kyler Murray and that injury that took place on Monday Night Football. What does Kyler Murray's ACL tear mean for the Cardinals' future? And I have a lot to say about this, but Chase, you being the guest, I'm gonna pass that right over to you.
Yeah, I think Kyler Murray's ACL tear means a lot for the Cardinals' future. Not specifically Kyler Murray, but I think it means a lot for that staff and that team, specifically Cliff Kingsbury. I think this is kind of the writing on the wall that Cliff is on his way out. And I mean, like, obviously the injury, I don't think you know solidifies that, but I think the injury kind of helps the team kind of the management come to a decision and being like, hey, what do we have to do going forward, to make some changes, because obviously this team was probably one of the biggest upsets of the year.
Absolutely. And for me, I think it leaves the Cardinals in the desert, literally. Okay, it leaves them in the desert. And what's crazy? I want to start off by saying that I got to give my congratulations to Kyler Murray for getting the bag. And I know we had these conversations on the show when we was on In the Huddle. It seemed like over the offseason, this was one of the biggest stories. This kept coming up, and we was like, yo, Kyler Murray, he's not really due to get paid. He doesn't have to get paid this season. A whole lot to prove from an individual standpoint. He had a terrible playoffs last year. And I know me and Zach, it kept coming up, but he did a good job. And this is why I encourage any athlete, when you're eligible to get the bag, get it. Because at the end of the day, there's a business aspect to the sports world, and it's good to secure your future. Now we get to the situation. We fast forward. Now he's financially stable. He's secured. So it doesn't hurt him at any way. He got his money. And that's exactly why, I got to give kudos to him and his agent for getting him paid before this happened, because you just never know. The NFL stands for not for long. And Lamar Jackson needs to take notes. He needs to not play. I understand he want to gamble, get more money, obviously offset the market, but he needs to get paid because the NFL really stands for not for long. Look at Kyler Murray. With that being said as well, I think it's something to be said that everywhere Bruce Arians, I don't know if y'all noticed that, but every time he leaves a particular organization, they get worse. This team hasn't been good since Bruce Arians led them to the NFC Championship game with Carson Palmer as his quarterback. It's ironic that he leaves Tampa Bay in a great situation. They won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They made the playoffs last year. And look what's happening with this team right now. Go back to the Colts. And I understand that the Colts, it took a little longer for them to start the struggle, but he left them in a good spot. He was an interim coach over there. They went 11-5. And then a couple years later, we we fast forward to now, and look at them now. Everywhere Bruce Arians leaves, the situation gets worse. And I think that's a credit and a testament to his coaching and how we must have underrated him a little bit when he was coaching, because he wasn't a perfect coach. Quarterbacks did throw interceptions, etc. But the Cardinals are left in the desert. They're like the Israelites, don't know where to go. A chicken without a neck. Okay, they took Josh Rosen with the #1 overall pick and said, you know what? My bad. Exact next year. Let's take Kyler Murray with the #1 pick. Oh, we're going to run air raid. This air raid offense. Look at them. They're not even running air raid. What are they running out there right now? So the Cardinals are like a chicken without a neck. They're in a desert, and this injury leaves them more so in the desert.
Yeah, well, so you made a good point looking at this from Kyler's perspective, and I agree. Like, he's in a much better position since he got paid before this injury happened. But I'll talk a little bit about this from the Cardinals' perspective, and I'll first start off by saying this is devastating because even though Kyler is having a bad season compared to what we're used to, he is a former #1 overall pick. They're paying him a lot of money, and this season for the Cardinals has been a disaster. And this felt to me, not the injury, but the loss and how they lost the game. It felt like an appropriate ending. And with Kyler, he's a running quarterback. And in terms of his recovery, like, I'm a little worried because it's similar to a running back or wide receiver coming back opposed to a quarterback, because he's not someone who lives in the pocket. Like, it's already December 12th. I don't know when he's going to be back next season. And in terms, like, looking at next season, I understand that usually the quarterback will get the benefit of the doubt and the blame will go on the head coach or the GM in a situation like this where everything falls out of control. But I did go into the game on Monday night thinking, okay, maybe the Cardinals should at least entertain the ability or the option to trade Kyler Murray, because I don't think that contract for them is going to age well. And I do think Kyler is a good enough talent where there would be at least one team willing to take a chance on his ability. There would be a coach that believes in his ability to fix him and put him over the top. But just comparing the Cardinals to a few other teams, right? Like I compare them to the Rams. The Rams have literally had the season from hell, right? Cooper Kupp's hurt. Aaron Donald is hurt. Matthew Stafford's hurt. Everyone's hurt. They have a terrible roster right now, one of the worst rosters in the league. But every time recently they've taken the field, they've at least competed. You could at least respect their effort. They almost beat Seattle 2 weeks ago, and we know what Baker Mayfield did on Thursday Night Football. But I can't say the same thing about the Cardinals, but it makes sense because the Rams coach is Sean McVay. The Cardinals coach is Cliff Kingsbury. And I agree with Chase 100%. I think this really signaled the end for not only Cliff Kingsbury, but also Steve Keim. And I think now the Cardinals don't really have any chance to trade Kyler Murray because they would just get nothing close to what his appropriate value would be. And I just think if I'm the Arizona Cardinals right now, I'm just blowing this whole thing up. It really seems like this is just a team that wasted a ton of talent. And I don't want to say they quit on Cliff Kingsbury, but at the end of the day, like they were just making business. They've made business decisions in games. And right now it's just over. And I don't see this regime. It's not going to work out. Steve Keim has been their GM since 2013. That's a long time. Cliff Kingsbury, he's now in his third, fourth year, and he still hasn't got this team to the playoffs. He's been bad again in the second half of games, his fourth year, to clarify. And if I were the Cardinals, I would just lean towards blowing this whole thing up, getting rid of Kingsbury, getting rid of Keim. If you want to trade DeAndre Hopkins, if you want to maybe trade Hollywood Brown, I would just sell everyone and get some draft picks, start the rebuild.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you, Zach. The only thing I'm going to say is that Cliff Kingsbury's never been good, ever. I mean, how do you have Patrick Mahomes? And Patrick Mahomes comes out of the draft, and we can all agree that Patrick Mahomes was the best quarterback taken in that draft, right?
Absolutely.
Right. Not a question.
It's not Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, it's definitely wasn't Mitch Trubisky. Obviously wasn't Deshaun Watson. But how do you have Patrick Mahomes on your team at Texas Tech and nobody? I mean, he wasn't a high sought out quarterback in the draft. As far as the analysts and the expert picks go, some coaches and some teams knew about him because they went and watched him. But as far as like Todd McShay and Mel Kiper and all those guys, I mean, he wasn't high on that list. So how do you have that guy and then not a lot of people know about that or him be a Heisman winner or anything like that? Secondly, I don't think it's ready. I don't think we're ready to blow up this team yet. This team still has talent that can contribute. Real, you brought it up, the Bruce Arians effect, man. It's a testament of how much Bruce Arians knows about this game and how important this game is to Bruce Arians, because the Buccaneers, obviously Bruce Arians did some sketchy stuff with the Antonio Brown stuff. There's no question about that. But for the Buccaneers to go, yeah, we're not going to fire you. We're gonna trade you, or not trade you, but we're going to upgrade you into a general manager, player personnel position, and then we'll have one of your guys coach the team. Like that kind of spoke volumes to me. That kind of said, hey, Tampa Bay knows that they've got something special with Bruce Arians, and they don't want to get rid of him. And now that you brought it up, Real, that's exactly the type of coach I would want it at Arizona. There is no denying that Kyler Murray has talent. He's an extremely talented kid, but he needs a guy who's going to hold him in check and be disciplined to him and, hold him accountable. And Cliff Kingsbury's not that guy. And, it just depending on who they bring in, we could be looking at the same situation. But I mean, if you can find somebody that can hold Kyler Murray accountable, who can make sure that this team is disciplined, this team's ready to win. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, they've got the talent there. These guys aren't washed up. Are they as good as they were a couple years ago? Probably not. But I mean, they still got a talented squad that can win games now. So I think it just depends on where the regime goes. If they clean house and bring in a good coach, cool. If you're not gonna go out and get a guy who's willing to be solid, with the discipline and make sure that this team is focused on the goal, then yeah, let's trade Kyler, let's clean house, let's wipe everything and start from new.
I think you hit it on the nail, Chase. It's totally up to them on what they want to do. Do they want to go full rebuild? And I think Zach made some valid points on why they should, but I also think you made some points as well. Number one, Kyler Murray has talent, and there's no denying he was a number one overall pick. This guy can play. He's not some scrub that you just throw out there and he can't play at the National Football League. This guy's been a winner everywhere he went, high school, college, and the National Football League. He's a gamer, right? But at the same time, he needs guidance. He wasn't getting that guidance from Cliff Kingsbury. Literally, the players and everybody ran the show. Okay, Steve Klein, I want to get paid. I want to get extensions. Sure. Cliff Kingsbury, what has he accomplished? I want to get paid. I'm actually going to make my agent. I'm going to do some funny stuff where he actually did a publicity stunt. I don't know if you remembered, where there was another job that was opening in college, and then he kind of like threw his name out there.
Oklahoma.
You know what I'm saying? He bullied them getting the money. Kyler Murray did the same thing. Obviously, that was a good thing when you talk about what happened now. You have too many people running the show, and there's no level of guidance over there. There's a lot of immaturity over there. And I think Kyler Murray, he needs that guidance to learn how to be a better football player, not only on the football field, which, he could play, but off the field, putting in the work outside the football, game setting to be able to enhance his play in a game setting, right? So I think you get that, then you should be fine. I'm not sure if you can win a Super Bowl. Like I said, Super Bowls are not guaranteed to no team, but at the same time, the talent is there. And like you alluded to, Chase, this is the same cat that had Patrick Mahomes on his team. Did Patrick Mahomes succeed really in college? When you look at his resume, he did some good things passing the football, but they wasn't winning. They were losers with Patrick Mahomes on the team. He gets Andy Reid, and he improves in the NFL. Okay, so we see how proper coaching can enhance his play, and one could argue he has so much talent, okay, and God-gifted abilities. So it took a great coach to get that out of him, and we couldn't get it with the Cliff Kingsbury era. So that should tell you the situation with Kyler. The talent is there, the skill set is there, but the coaching is not, and they need to get that coach.